The first question people go to is how, and that's the wrong question. How is absolutely the wrong question to start with, because if you've never done it before, what that produces is uncertainty. If you have uncertainty, then you don't execute at the same level. But the challenge is people are asking how, and that produces uncertainty. What you gotta ask is what and why. If you know what needs to be done and why it needs to be done, if it's strong enough, then there's a level of certainty that will show up in your nervous system, and you'll be able to inspire other people as well. Watch out for the tyranny of how.
Yeah.
Tyranny. Don't start with how. It'll shut down your capacity. Start with what and why and get that so strong. Then start brainstorming. There's a million hows. And if there isn't a way, you can find a way or make a way. People don't experience life. They experience the life they focus on. So right now, if you're happy, you are deleting all the things you could be pissed off about or frustrated or worried about in the world. Yeah. If you're unhappy, you're deleting all the things that are great in your life. And our brains delete and they distort and they generalize. So if you don't direct it, you get whatever shows up. What's wrong is always available. What's wrong in the world, it's always available. What's right is also available. It's just which one you pick. And it isn't about positive thinking, because I've never been into positive thinking. People think that's what I do. It's not. I believe in intelligence. And so when you're in a lousy state of mind, you treat people poorly, you don't perform at the highest level, you're not happy. Yeah. When you're in a great state of mind, you treat people better, perform at a different place, and it's one of the reasons humor is so valuable. Yeah. It changes people's state. And then, all of a sudden they're in a different place. They respond in a different place when they're laughing than when they're pissed off. So why not train yourself to do that? There's 3 decisions you're making every moment you're alive. The first one is, what are you gonna focus on? So whatever you focus on, that's what you feel. If you're supposed to meet your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whoever at 7 o'clock, you get there at 7, they're not there. Some people are pissed off, some people are worried. It's the same event. If it's 7:30 and they're not there, they've not called, they've not texted, now what are you feeling? Some people go, I'm really pissed off, I'm really worried. But the point is, whether you're angry or whether you're worried had nothing to do with the event. It's the habits of your mind. The person who's worried thinks, well, maybe they're in a car accident. The person's pissed off, they did it again. So the first decision you make is, what are you gonna focus on? And most people have patterns of focus. Do you tend to focus more on what you have or what's missing? Do you tend to focus more on what you can control or what you can't control? And then the third one, do you tend to focus more on the past, the present, or the future? Those 3 patterns, if you do all 3 of them, if you constantly look at what's missing, it's hard to ever stay fulfilled or happy. So you have to always do something to try to make yourself happy, because you're always noticing what's missing. It's just where your focus goes. There's always something missing. There's always something that's not missing. There's always something beautiful. If you focus on what you have, you're gonna be more fulfilled. Second one, if you focus on what you can control, what you do, it's why you have your own business, it's why who you are. But a lot of people focus on what they can't control. It's overwhelming. They're stressed out. They think of all those things. So if you constantly focus on what's missing, you can't control, and the past, which you can't change, what that makes is either angry or sad or frustrated or depressed. You gotta have something that is large enough that it makes you crazy and you don't know that you can do it, but you gotta know you can do it. I know it sounds ridiculous. There's gotta be some part of you that turns it into a must, not a should. If it's a should, it gets done when it's easy. When it's a must, it happens no matter what. And the difference between should and must is reasons. Reasons come first, answers come second. If you got strong enough reasons, if you got a big enough why, you can figure out how to do anything. The first question people go to is how, and that's the wrong question. How is absolutely the wrong question to start with, because if you've never done it before, what that produces is uncertainty. If you have uncertainty, then you don't execute at the same level. It's like people say knowledge is power. We all know that's bullshit, right? Execution is power. Knowledge is potential power. Execution beats knowledge every day of the week. So my bias is towards action. Even if it's the wrong action, you're gonna learn quicker than if you do nothing. But the challenge is people are asking how, and that produces uncertainty. What you gotta ask is what and why. If you know what needs to be done and why it needs to be done, if it's strong enough, then there's a level of certainty that will show up in your nervous system, and you'll be able to inspire other people as well, because you can't fake it. Everybody can feel it. And so if you can come up with that and find out how to turn that certainty on, that's what I do with people, athletes, business people, everybody, is how do you turn that on and keep it on? Turn that on, and then knowing what and why, you can figure out how. It's like, John F. Kennedy didn't know how to get to the moon when he said, we're gonna put somebody on the moon and return to the earth safely in this decade, and people at NASA are like, he's insane. We don't have the resources, but they did it. That's leadership. That's a moonshot, right? And it can't just be you. So that's the other part. Is it something that doesn't just inspire you? Is it something that'll keep you going when it doesn't look like it's gonna work, keep you from giving up? But is it something that'll get other people to join you? Otherwise, it's just you, and you're not gonna do it by yourself. There's no moonshots that are done by individuals. That's bullshit. And individuals may stimulate it, but it takes a team. It takes an army of people to make something happen. So I think watch out for the tyranny of how.
Yes.
Tyranny. Don't start with how. It'll shut down your capacity. Start with what and why and get that so strong. Then start brainstorming. There's a million hows. And if there isn't a way, you can find a way or make a way. And I think that happens. And the other thing that happens is when you succeed, you get momentum. That's the other thing I mentioned to you. All lasting change, by the way, in your life, my life, or anybody's, is a change in identity. Anything else is a fight. It's like if you ever, if you once smoked and you don't anymore, and I came to you and said, would you like a cigarette? You're not going to go, what brand is it? You're going to say, I'm not a smoker. I'm not one of those. Identity is the most powerful force that controls the human psyche. Change your identity, change your life. Expand your identity, expand your life. Shrink your identity, shrink your life. So I try to get people to do things that change their identity. Even the silly fun things we do, like the firewalk or wood breath, things that we do are give someone an experience that after they do it, their brain says, if I can do this, what else can I get myself to do? That's the way that I think you create a real lasting change with people. If there's something inside of you that you don't like, a behavior, an emotion, a thought, it's not you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's a pattern. And we can develop patterns and do them so often that we think we're our patterns. It's just a habit of thinking, a habit of motion. You don't overeat every moment. You overeat when you're bored and when you're pissed off or when you're worried, right? It's a pattern. And you can change any pattern when you stop thinking there's something wrong with you. But also, I've learned that anybody that's great at anything, if somebody's a great musician, they know certain patterns. Now, how do you get there? 3 skills. First skill you got to do is you got to recognize patterns, because otherwise things seem random and it's overwhelming. Like the world seems random, like, oh my God, it's the worst time to be alive. It's such bullshit. I show people, like, they go, it's the worst time in the world politically, for example. There's so much hate. I can show you the postcards that were used that were posted by 2 of the founding fathers, Adams and Jefferson, and if you read what they said, it makes Trump and Biden and everybody around them sound like they're the nicest people in the world. I mean, it's cyclical. We go through cycles, right? Just like seasons. So once you recognize a pattern, you can run a business. Once you recognize a pattern, you can know what's going on in the stock market. You can be a better investor. Once you recognize a pattern, you know what to do with your body for more energy. Recognize a pattern, you can decipher how to make a relationship work. But the first skill is recognizing. The second skill is learning to use it. And when you look at somebody who's masterful, pick any subject in that area, in that domain, they know the best patterns and they know how to use it. Now you start, let's say you're going to play the piano, by playing somebody else's patterns because they figured it out. And then as you do that long enough, there gets to a point where you learn how to use it, and then you get to the third stage where you create your own pattern. And that's when you become kind of the master of your particular domain.